I just want you guys to know that this is not a political attack. It may not sound like it, but what I am saying to you and what I'm about to say to you through this entire video is based on women's best interest in the long run. I know you don't believe me now, but just keep that seed in your head. One New York Times writer just asked, "Men, where have you gone? And please come back." Are we ready to talk about it now? Because I have thoughts. The entirety of this desperate essay serves as a real-time documentary of the worst train wreck on the road to good intentions you've ever seen. By the end of this video, you're going to understand how radical feminism has systematically vilified everything masculine and deemed it dangerous, deconstructed all the traditions and institutional structures, and replaced them with something else entirely that nobody even understands. They've erased the value of men in our society until we finally have gotten here, where at least some of us are admitting that we miss them, or at least what they used to be.
May 17th, a warm Saturday night in Wicker Park, a vibrant stretch of Chicago where 7 restaurants crowd a single block. Troy and I were having dinner at Mama Delia, one of the quieter spots. The sidewalk patio held 5 tables, 3 two-tops, including ours, and a pair pulled together for a group of 8 women. At those tables, Troy was the only man. The scene was beautiful. Low lights, shared plates, shoulders angled in. The kind of evening people wait for all winter. Still, I found myself watching the crowd as it moved past us. Women walking in pairs or alone, dressed with care. At table after table at the nearby restaurants, there was a noticeable absence of men. Still, what I saw unfolding around us felt like something else entirely. A collective shift I couldn't unsee.
A collective shift. I hate to break it to her. I don't know why it has to be me. But by the time you noticed a shift in most things, it's usually a little bit too late. If only we had been warned. But wait, we were. Back in 2023, the world's most hated misogynist, Andrew Tate, ranked number 3 among people searches on Google. When I discovered this, I asked my 17-year-old son at the time if he'd ever heard of him, and he chuckled and said, of course he has, and so has all of his friends. I want you guys to think about that for a second. One of the biggest influencers of red pill content has become a household name. But it didn't happen overnight. Tate and his brother have been spewing their rhetoric online for at least a decade, creating a legion of men globally. They were growing in numbers, and so was their sentiment. So now being red-pilled isn't necessarily about hating women. They're now saying it is revealing the true nature of women. And ladies, it is getting really, really increasingly hard for me to defend the behaviors that I'm seeing, particularly on TikTok.
As the president and the CEO of the Yes It Is All Men committee, I am here to tell you that it's all men until it's no man. In the real world out there, according to humanity in the justice system, you are innocent until proven guilty. But in my world, and in the world of 4B, and women who just don't want to deal with you, you are guilty until proven innocent. The number one reason why I don't give a shiznit about the so-called good guys is because you guys don't do anything.
She is still screaming, but we got you. We got you. 911, they're coming. You're good. You're good. Oh, man, it's a situation. We will get back to you in a little bit. I'm going to go see if I can help this lady out a little bit more, you guys.
And then there is Bob carrying her out. So for our viewers, Bob was doing a live shot for Fox and Friends. That's who he was talking to while he was hearing that lady scream in the background. He had already called EMS. He had already called 911. And then this is video of Bob pulling her out.
Yeah, man. Hey, absolutely. Hey, absolutely. Yeah, of course. Anytime. I'll do it again. Get her a blanket. Yeah, you can keep the shirt. Yeah, keep it. It's all yours.
He's the humble hero whose bravery saved a baby from a watery grave. It happened on a bridge in Ocean City, Maryland, when a multi-car collision left this pickup dangling precariously over the concrete barrier. The force of the collision ejected the 18-month-old girl out of the vehicle and into the water of this bay. That's when another motorist got out of his car and without hesitation climbed over this barrier and dove into the chilly waters to the rescue.
Oh my God, does he have a baby?
Boaters saw the incredible rescue unfold. The hero climbs up the ladder and hands the child over. Firefighter paramedic.
If you haven't seen this video yet, a man tried to abduct a woman in broad daylight. And before I play the video, I wanted to give all of these men a shout out because this is how we hold bad men accountable and show them that they can't get away with this behavior because he obviously thought he could. Also, when you watch this video, I want you to pay attention that it only really took one guy calling out this behavior to rally all the other men to help do something. One brave person.
Oh shit.
Again, shout out to this man.
Things, and then the people who sit by watching evil things being done and don't do shit about it. Yeah, that's what the so-called good guys are doing. Absolutely nothing. So until then, you get zero respect and you don't get noticed. Like, I don't care about you. And smart women, the ones with a half a brain, don't give a damn about you either.
Now, say what you want about Andrew Tate, and I have, but ignoring why his message reached millions of young men is like blaming the smoke alarm instead of asking where the fire started.
Only 2 tables nearby seemed to hold actual dates. The rest were groups of women, or women alone, each one occupying her space with quiet confidence. No shrinking, no waiting, no apologizing. That night marked something. Not a heartbreak, but an unveiling. A sense that what I'd been experiencing wasn't just personal misalignment. It was something broader, cultural, a slow vanishing of presence.
We should have been paying closer attention. Not because every guy in America has suddenly become red-pilled, but yeah, kinda. Well, I'll just let this lady tell you.
What happened to men pursuing girls? When was the pivotal moment that a man chose to not go after a girl anymore and put in any effort? It seems like guys can just put the bare minimum and not even really put in effort anymore. They don't really care to. Or they're like, why don't girls just go and make the first move and make the effort? When did it become a thing? Now it's like role reversal where they expect girls to be making the first moves, yearning for a guy and chasing him. That is, I feel like, the downfall of why it's so hard to meet someone, because men don't put in effort.
There's plenty of pivotal moments. How about when a woman called a man weak for opening her car door? Or the time that men pursued women on dating apps and him saying, hey, how are you, wasn't good enough? How about the pivotal moment when a man is looking out into the open and happens to glance in a woman's direction and somehow he's undressing her with his eyes? Or how about the moment when women considered everything the bare minimum and nothing is ever good enough? Or what about the pivotal moment where men have to fix everything in a relationship to make it work and women have to simply exist? Or how about the time there was a study done that said 80% of women find men unattractive, so why would they try anymore? Or the pivotal moment where men can be accused of SA or grape at any given moment by accident, just because a woman is pissed off because she was rejected? Or what about the pivotal moment that women have constantly told men that they're so undesirable that they would rather pick a bear over a human being, as if men don't have feelings? Or how about the pivotal moment that every single man that ever chased a woman was considered a simp and women simply didn't respect them or want to be with them because they're chasing and they're trying too hard? What about the pivotal moment when the nice guy gets left because he's not toxic enough? What about the pivotal moment where men can't even simply be respectful without it being considered creepy or too friendly? Or what about the time that women decided that not even Cheesecake Factory was good enough for a first date? That they didn't want to get to know men for who they are. They wanted to know how much money they made and their status. And I don't know about you, but that doesn't sound worth chasing. Okay, bye.
Don't get mad at me. She's the one who said it. If this collective cultural shift, as the author puts it, was, say, butt cancer, we'd be in stage 3. All over TikTok and all over the country, we hear and see reports of women attending speed dating events and mixers with the promise of snagging Mr. Right, but when they arrive, there are no XYs in sight. It's almost as if the men chose video games and porn while we chose the bear. Her next paragraph shows a stunning lack of self-awareness. that the world of porn she helped create, refine, and perfect is lacking of conversation, effort, curiosity, and reciprocity. Then wonders why the men she's seeking out in the wild aren't talking to women, putting in effort, expressing vulnerability, or having any interest in reciprocation. It's weird how that happens.
I spent over a decade behind the curtain of digital desire. As the custodian of records for Playboy and its affiliated hardcore properties, including sites like Spice TV, I was responsible for some of the most infringed upon adult content in the world. I worked closely with copyright attorneys and marketing teams to understand exactly what it took to get a man to pay for content he could easily find for free. We knew what worked. We knew how to frame a face, a gesture, a moment of implication, just enough to ignite fantasy and open a wallet. It was access to simulation, clean, fast, and frictionless. In that world, there's no need for conversation. No effort, no curiosity, no reciprocity. No one's feelings to consider, no vulnerability to navigate. Just a closed loop of consumption. What struck me most wasn't the extremity of the content. It was the emotional vacancy behind it. The drift. The way many men had quietly withdrawn from intimacy and vulnerability, not with violence or resistance, but with indifference. They weren't sitting across from someone on a Saturday night trying to connect. They were scrolling, dabbling, disappearing behind firewalls, filters, and curated personas.
So let me get this straight. It's firmly a fourth wave feminist mantra that sex work is real work and sex work is empowering and OnlyFans, yay!
What challenges do you have next?
Bonnie Blue's petting zoo. I am going to be in a glass box, tied up, and it's going to be open for the public.
Oh my God.
Me in the box, but people can join me to me, touch me, just look at me.
But as we're clapping like seals, saying yes, girl, yes, to a 20-year-old girl, sticking some piece of fruit or vegetable in some terrible, shadowy orifice. See, back in the 70s and 80s, prominent feminist icons rallied and railed against pornography. They said that it objectified women and went so far as to say that it would cause violence against women. Look at those signs from way back in the 70s and 80s. It's almost like they knew the future. Sex-positive feminists won the fight against the anti-porn feminists because enough of us swallowed the Kool-Aid flavored copium that sex would help women reclaim their agency and that sex was the path to empowerment. And plus, you can make a lot of money.
I'm 54. I've been dating since the mid-'80s, been married, been a mother, gotten divorced, had many relationships, long and short. I remember when part of heterosexual male culture involved showing up with a woman to signal something: status, success, desirability. Women were once signifiers of value, even to other men. It wasn't always healthy, but it meant that men had to show up and put in some effort. That dynamic has quietly collapsed. We have moved into an era where many men no longer seek women to impress other men or to connect across difference. They perform elsewhere, alone. They've filtered us out.
This indirectly has the author admitting that women have lost their value in the eyes of men. They are no longer seeing us as the prize, and now they're filtering us out. But why on earth, why oh why would men ever want to filter women out?
I don't know if this happens to anybody else, but the anger I get from making eye contact with a man is like so ridiculous sometimes. Look at the hives I just got literally just from making eye contact with a man. I literally feel so disgusted. I feel like, what the fuck?
I recently experienced a flicker of possibility with James. We met on Raya, the dating app. There was something mutual from the start. Wordplay, emotional precision, a tone that felt attuned. It was brief, but it caught light. I remember saying to him, even fleeting connections matter when they're mutual and lit from the inside. I meant it. There was just enough spark to wonder what might unfold, enough curiosity to imagine a doorway. But he didn't step through it. Not with a plan, not with presence. He hovered, flirting, retreating, offering warmth but no direction. Sexual tension and a spark aren't reason enough to sit still and hope there's substance behind the shimmer. So I named what I felt. I texted him clearly, with care, not simply to declare attraction, but to extend a real invitation to explore what was possible. I didn't chase. I invited, leaving the door open. If he ever wanted to cross the threshold, not just to take, but to meet, I was willing. I wanted. I still do. He never replied.
She mentions a man named James on Raya, an invite-only dating app you don't just stumble into, because Raya is elite. They're full of celebrities, influencers, and men with a lot of options. And when she says, even fleeting connections matter when they're mutual and lit from the inside, that's a translation, in my opinion, that she was open to just a hookup. He didn't even want to put in that much effort, and we know this because she said it herself. Sorry, honey, he's too busy picking off all the other women who want him. That's what's happening to women across the board, and that's only going to get worse. And the men at the top of the food chain have so many options that they can say to themselves, why close up shop when business is still so good? So if a man like James, who's likely inundated with attention, senses that someone like this woman is ready to just hook up without any effort on his part, the power dynamic has shifted immediately. He no longer sees her as a prize to be earned, but a free sample that you get at the front of the door.
There was a time, not so long ago, when even a one-night stand might end with tangled limbs and a shared breakfast. When the act of staying the night didn't announce a relationship, just a willingness to be human for a few more hours. Now, even that kind of unscripted contact feels rare. We've built so many boundaries that we've walled off the very moments that make connection memorable. And frankly, morning sex is often the best sex. Sometimes you even get a side of eggs before you disappear from their bed and their life forever.
This woman is literally longing for the man who might stick around long enough for breakfast. Like that's some kind of victory. Ladies, is this what we're celebrating now? Is this the empowered woman we fought to become? Because I remember when feminism was about having options. It was about being seen as more than just a body in someone's bed. And now, somehow, we're just grateful if he doesn't kick us out before dawn and maybe he scrambles us an egg. That's not liberation.
Forever. This idea that vulnerability is a threat instead of an invitation has created a culture of hesitation, of men circling intimacy but never entering it. And the result is thousands of tiny silos. Everyone performing closeness, but no one making a move that binds. Isolation, loneliness, a hunger for contact that has nowhere to land. Maybe we're between paradigms, mourning what's fallen, not yet fluent in what comes next.
So let me get this straight. We dismantled every rule, every role, and every expectation, then stood back and said, now build intimacy, connection, and loyalty from scratch. What did you think was going to happen? You just cannot burn the map and then be shocked when everyone is looking around lost.
The infrastructures of intimacy, slowness, curiosity, accountability have been eroded by haste, convenience, and a kind of sanctioned emotional retreat. It's not about blaming men. It's about noticing the imbalance, about grieving what's not needing us, and about refusing to dress it up as personal failure when it's actually a collective reality.
How are we so far up our own behinds that we don't see that the joke is on us? Because you better believe there are entities behind the scenes who are absolutely delighted about the genders hating each other and not forming bonds and us all just going at each other because it's just better to control you with. Dummy. Stupid. I want you to understand that I was with feminism until it got to be the third and fourth wave, which just became a tsunami of absurdity and theories that don't even make sense, that became less about equality and more about something else.
Can you provide a definition for the word woman?
Can I provide a definition? No,
Yeah,
I can't.
you can't?
Not in
Okay.
this context.
So you
I'm not a
believe the
biologist.
meaning of the word woman is so unclear and controversial that you can't give me a definition?
Personally, for me, it's either a daughter or an abortion. Because why would I further on my genetics to a useless man when I could just have a complete human?
Abortions, I've had a few, but then again, I can't remember exactly how many.
What, really?
No judgment.
No judgment. We've had about the same amount of abortions.
Here's what I'll say. You are missed, not just by me, but by the world you once helped shape. We remember you, the version of you that lingered at the table, that laughed from the chest, that asked questions and waited for the answers, that touched without taking, that listened, really listened, when a woman spoke. You are not gone, but your presence is thinning. In restaurants, in friendships, in the slow rituals of romantic emergence. You've retreated, not into malice, but into something softer and harder all at once. Avoidance, exhaustion, disrepair. Maybe no one taught you how to stay. Maybe you tried once, and it hurt. Maybe the world told you your role was to provide, to perform, to protect, and never to feel. But here's what's real. We never needed you to be perfect. We needed you to be with us. Not above, not muted, not masked, just with. And you can still come back, not by becoming someone else, but by remembering what connection feels like when it's honest and slow, when it's earned and messy and sacred. We're still here, those of us who are willing to co-create something true. We are not impossible to please. We're not asking for performances. We are asking for presence, for courage, for breath and eye contact, and the ability to say, I'm here. I don't know how to do this perfectly, but I want to try. Come back, not with flowers or fireworks, but with willingness, with your whole, beautiful, imperfect heart. We're still here, and we haven't stopped hoping. As for me, I'll keep showing up, not because I'm waiting, because I know what it feels like when someone finally arrives.
Not one time did the author ask, after giving the list of things she misses about men and what they want from them, or what we collectively want from them, does she ever press her fingers to ask men, what do you want? You know, that reciprocity thing that you were talking about earlier, start there. It speaks to a self-centeredness with little to no thought that relationships are a give and take. And yes, I got all of that from one long-ass article that reads like an autopsy. So, ladies and gentlemen, what we are experiencing right now is a gender anarchy. We are in a dumb revolution where we have thrown all the old traditions and institutions away and had absolutely no structure to replace it. And those of you who are polarized on one side or the other, shame on you, because the people in the middle, you have confused so much, you have made them so skeptical that they no longer feel emboldened to say that they like what normal people like, that they like boys or they like girls. I swear it's like kindergarten. It's like, oh, you like a girl, ew, or oh, you like a boy, ew. It's so juvenile. You've got people in the middle who want to say they want to be in a relationship, feel like they're being teased, like they have been on a kindergarten playground. What is wrong with you? What is happening? Nobody is happy. You can't tell me that we are. Except for me. I'm happy. I got engaged. I got out of this. Woof, Lordy. And now that we're all lost, swiping left on connection and right on resentment, wake the fuck up. If you want intimacy, stop demanding it on your terms only. Ask the hard question. What do they want? What do you bring? Because if we keep cooking this toxic soup of blame, we're all going to choke. We are all going to die because this is nothing but suicide. So, lady, when you ask the men to come back, also ask not what they can do for you, but also what you can do for them.